Did you know that in 1920 something fascinating happened? The United States passed the 18th Amendment, which led to the era of Prohibition. The rationale behind Prohibition was that banning alcohol would reduce crime, improve health, and strengthen families. However, some argued that this was a slippery slope, that banning alcohol could lead to the government controlling other aspects of people's lives. And while the slippery slope argument wasn't entirely accurate in this case, it serves as an interesting historical example of the slippery slope fallacy in action. So, what exactly is the slippery slope? It's a logical fallacy in which a relatively small first step is assumed to inevitably lead to a chain of related events, ultimately resulting in an extreme outcome. The problem with this type of reasoning is that it often relies on exaggeration and doesn't account for the nuances and complexities of real-world situations. Hey rational rebels! Welcome to the arena of reason, the very place we train our minds to spot cognitive pitfalls. This is Chris from Critical Conditioning, where we strive for cognitive precision and free our minds from that mental prison. Today, we're exploring the slippery slope fallacy, a form of reasoning where an argument asserts that a relatively small first step will inevitably lead to a chain reaction with significant consequences. We'll delve into the psychology behind this fallacy and investigate how the fear of a slippery slope can impact our decision-making in critical thinking. Before we delve into this intriguing topic, remember to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the notification bell to stay updated with our mind-strengthening content. If you find our podcast valuable, consider supporting us through PayPal using the link in the description. Your support helps us continue our mission of promoting rational thinking. Also, please share this episode with someone you know who might be interested in understanding the slippery slope fallacy. Supercharge your mind, hit subscribe, don't be left behind. Let's get started. Let's dive into some studies that have investigated the slippery slope fallacy. One study conducted by Corner, Hahn, and Oxford, 2011, examined how people evaluate slippery slope arguments in everyday reasoning. The researchers found that people are more likely to be persuaded by slippery slope arguments when they perceive the initial event as particularly negative and the final event as extremely undesirable. This suggests that our emotional reactions to the events in question can make us more susceptible to the slippery slope fallacy. Another study by Rott, 2017, explored how slippery slope arguments can be made more persuasive by adding empirical evidence. The study concluded that providing evidence for intermediate steps in the chain of events can make a slippery slope argument more convincing, even though it's still a fallacy. Now, let's look at some real-world examples of the slippery slope fallacy. 1. A parent might argue that allowing their child to stay up late one night on New Year's Eve will lead to the child staying up late every night, eventually resulting in poor academic performance and a lack of discipline. 2. In discussions about fast food, someone might claim that eating a single fast food meal will inevitably lead to a habit of consuming unhealthy food, ultimately resulting in obesity and health issues. Even though many experts advise for a cheat day once a week or once a month. 3. When debating the use of smartphones, some people may argue that using a smartphone for a few hours a day can lead to addiction and result in social isolation and mental health problems. However, studies show that many people nowadays first encounter real-world partners and establish long-term friendships online, highlighting the benefits of digital communication and connectivity. 4. When discussing hobbies, some people may claim that spending time on a hobby like video gaming can lead to obsession and result in the neglect of important responsibilities. However, for most people, video gaming is just another hobby like any other. 5. When debating the merits of a new technology, a person might argue that adopting the technology will lead to an over-reliance on it, eventually causing the loss of essential skills and independence. Even though the new technology may bring many benefits and enhance our daily lives in various ways, it's important to evaluate its benefits and drawbacks in a balanced manner. So, who is especially at risk of falling for the slippery slope fallacy? Research suggests that people with lower levels of education and critical thinking skills are more susceptible to this type of fallacious reasoning. Additionally, individuals who are more prone to emotional reasoning are more easily swayed by slippery slope arguments, as they tend to focus on the negative aspects of the initial event and the extreme consequences of the final event. Now, let's discuss some brief tips on how to spot the slippery slope fallacy and avoid falling victim to it. 1. Look for exaggerated claims. If an argument relies on an extreme outcome without providing evidence for the intermediate steps, it might be a slippery slope fallacy. 2. Consider alternative scenarios. Just because one event occurs doesn't mean that the extreme outcome is inevitable. Think about other possible outcomes and the factors that might influence the chain of events. To avoid falling victim to the slippery slope fallacy, here are some more tips. 1. Develop critical thinking skills. Learn how to evaluate arguments and evidence logically, and be cautious of emotionally charged reasoning that might cloud your judgment. 2. Question assumptions. When you encounter a slippery slope argument, ask yourself if the proposed chain of events is truly inevitable or if it's based on unfounded assumptions. 3. Seek out more information. Do your own research and check all sources and not just the ones someone labels as credible or popular to better understand the complexities of a situation. And as always, remember, simply being aware of a bias and fallacy helps you immensely to avoid falling victim to it. So, rational rebels, what are your thoughts on this fallacy? Have you or someone you know experienced a similar situation? Share your perspective with the community and in the comments below. Your support is incredibly valuable to us. If you can, please consider making a donation through the PayPal link in the description. Every contribution helps us continue creating content that promotes critical thinking. Thank you for being a part of our mission. Keep your mind sharp, raise your banner with a like, enlist and subscribe to become a rational rebel alike, avoiding all the pitfalls that may come your way. This is Chris from Critical Conditioning, signing off for today.